From the best player on the pitch in the first couple of months to getting a 0 on the player ratings yesterday. What's happened with Obrien? I've got a feeling I've figured it out. Let's get into the video. Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of day you're watching this. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And welcome to your latest Forest news. Today, we're going to have a couple of mini videos coming out because we've got a lot to talk about. And in this video, we're going to be talking about Lewis Obrien and what's happened and where's the decline suddenly come from with him. We've also got tonight on Gore, Lee Charles coming on. So on Grumpy Old Reds, make sure you watch out. We're gonna get our asses handed to us. That'll be tonight at about 8:45, but plenty more to come before that. So let's get into this and let's talk about Lewis Obrien and what the hell's going on. Lewis Obrien, for me, was one of the best signings we had over the summer. He started off really well, really committed, playing that box-to-box position fantastically. He was like a little Duracell bunny getting up and down the pitch. But the question is, what has happened? One, to put him out of favour, and then secondly, for the performance we saw last night. For me, it starts, and I've narrowed it down to the Leicester match. At halftime, he got into a hell of an argument with the likes of Morgan Gibbs-White, with Cook, and with Chet Kyoto. And ever since then, he was then put away on sick, and he was meant to be out for a couple of days, and we didn't see him again until the Fulham match. For the Bournemouth match, I believe it was, Colback was subbed in ahead of him. And we've seen that Colback substitution ahead of Obrien a few times. Now, it doesn't matter what you think about who's better, Colback or Obrien. For me, it's a non-starter, but I know some of you got some weird fetish when it comes to Colback. But that's not the point of this video. The point is, what has happened in that argument at Leicester that created this unrest with Lewis Obrien? Because it is clear that since then, he has been at the peripheral of the team. And has there been something happening behind the scenes where that argument has continued on further down the line and has caused him to basically not give a crap about what's happening in the game? We saw yesterday his worst performance by an absolute country mile, and it wasn't a typical Lewis Obrien performance. Now, for me, I still think he's a great player. I think he brings something into that midfield that maybe one or two others can't, and he's quite unique in what he can offer. But I'm hearing rumours that potentially he's being linked with a kick him out deal over to West Brom with his old manager, things like that. And these rumours are going to start to become louder and louder. They're nothing but rumours at the moment, but I do feel there's some weight behind them. And I think that we may see Obrien shipped out in this window. Basing that on nothing apart from the research I'm doing in regards to when you look at the timeline and the time frame of how this decline has happened. And I think it would be a crying shame if that was to be the case. But it's the secret squirrel around it. As I mentioned earlier, the whole sickness after he did a video at a school where he went and answered some questions to a few kids about Lewis Obrien, who is he, what he likes, etc. It's actually quite a nice video. We then saw him off sick. There was claims that he had COVID. There was claims that he just had a sickness that he can get over. Cooper kept updating us saying he's not quite back. He can't quite shake the bug, etc., etc. And I'm just wondering if that was the start of it and we missed it as a Forest fan base and didn't realize it until it snowballed into full avalanche mode in yesterday's shocker against Blackpool. So my question to you guys is, do you think there's some smoke in this fire, or do you think maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree? And do you think Obrien still has a future at Nottingham Forest? He is still a great player in my estimation. And he has been one of those players who was a championship player last year, who has been able, in my opinion at least, to make a step up and produce in the Premier League. We saw at the start of the season, when we were playing in that atrocious back three formation, which doesn't work in the Premier League, that him and Mangala playing as a two had chemistry and they were connecting and working well. Yes, it was only for a couple of matches, I grant you. But once that partnership was broken up, once Mangala got injured, that's when we saw the midfield getting overrun because we were still playing in a 2, and that's why Cooper had to change that formation from the back 3. However, with him back, Mangala back, and so on, we haven't seen that connection come back into the midfield. You could argue the emergence of Yates, Freuler controlling the midfield, Mangala being in and out of the team with injuries, etc. has caused that. But we still haven't seen that combination happen at all on the pitch. And it tends to be that Mangala is the one who can't carry his weight for more than 60 or so minutes and is always substituted off, be it for Colback, be it sometimes for O'Brien. Add to that as well, O'Brien has been used as a last-second time-killing sub in previous matches before, which I find, and I'm sure he did, quite insulting to the capability and the levels that he is capable of playing. And I think that just adds more to the fuel. And this is me talking. This isn't anything off any sources or papers. This is me looking and assessing what I've seen so far. And I just feel there's something going on with O'Brien, something we're not being told about. And I really do expect something to crop up in this January window. With O'Brien's performance yesterday, it's probably even more likely that we're not going to see him in the team, maybe as a substitute going forward. But I just don't see him being in Cooper's starting 11 at the very least and in the front of his thinking. So let me know what you think down below. Do you think O'Brien will part ways with Nottingham Forest in this transfer window? Or am I really barking up some randomly wrong tree? I don't know. I'd like your opinions on it. There's a lot we need to talk about from yesterday's games, from yesterday's game even, not games. And I'm going to do a quick video now, which you'll be able to watch in a second, which will show you 5 things we can take away from that game, both positive and negative, and places where we can improve. As I mentioned at the start of the video, we've got Lee Charles coming on tonight on Grumpy Old Reds Live, so make sure you tune in for that. But I really want to know what you guys are thinking about O'Brien. And is there something in what I'm saying here? And go back and have a look at that Leicester incident and tell me if you think that was the start of it, or is there another incident you can think of, maybe happening behind the scenes that we haven't seen, that has caused this? Let me know your thoughts. As always, please do hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. We'll see you in a second on 5 things Forest need to do to improve on from yesterday's performance. Come on, you Reds.